Hi, my name is Michael Williams, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you everything you need to know about the Setup tab in Poco 5. The Setup tab is separated into a series of sub-tabs. There is the Show Info tab, Header, Unions, Email Setup, Email Messages, and the Advanced tab. I'm going to walk you through each one of these step by step so you have a greater understanding of what each one of these fields does. The Show Info tab will contain all of the basic information for your show. The top field here is for the name of your show. Just go ahead and type that in. And then over here to the left, there's a field for the POC. And if you click on this little pull-down list, and if you have people already entered in your People tab, all the people in the People tab will show up in this list. If not, you can just enter a name. You'll enter in the phone number for the production office. This is used in a number of contracts. And then the start date and wrap date for principal photography. To enter dates, you can use these pop-up calendars. Just click on the little icon and select date. The middle column here is for your production company information. This will also be used in a number of different contracts. So the production company name and its address, federal ID number, and state ID number if you have them available. And on the right-hand side, there are a few other fields. The saved file name prefix will allow you to create a prefix that will go in the beginning of any PDFs that Poco creates. For instance, if you like to have the initials or any other abbreviation at the beginning of every file that you create for that show, this is the place to enter that. And then these two bottom fields are useful if you're going to be shooting on film. If you enter the total feet budgeted, which is the total number of feet of negative that you've budgeted, and the cents per foot, which is the rate at which you're buying that film, the film usage data reports, which you'll find in the Shoot Day tab, will be able to take that information and use it in its report. The next tab is the Header tab. And as you may have guessed, this is for entering all the data that will appear in the headers of your cast list, crew list, what have you. This first section up here is optional. It is an area for any graphics or images that you might have for your show. All you need to do to insert a picture here is actually to drag and drop it. So I'm going to switch to my Finder. I have a graphic for my show. I'm going to just drag it and drop it onto the field. And there it is in Poco. There are also image fields to the left and right here for smaller graphics such as company logos. So let's insert a company logo. And there we go. If you ever wanted to delete any of these images, all you need to do is click the X in the top right corner of the field, and the image will go away. You can also drag and drop other images on top of them, and that will overwrite those images. This next field is for entering the address information of your show. You can put in the production office address, company address, any other address information you might have. And a common thing that people do to this field is to make changes to its formatting. So for instance, if you click on the formatting icon up here, it will bring down a new menu bar. And once I've clicked on this field right here, I actually have a lot of formatting options. I can left justify, right justify, center it again, make it bold. I can make all sorts of changes to this formatting so that you can get your addresses to look the way you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and close that back up. These remaining fields down here at the bottom are for your phone numbers. When you first get Poco, there'll be a number of department names already pre-typed into these fields. Of course, you can change those, add to them, subtract them. These fields can really be used in any way you'd like to use them. Over on the right, there's a field for additional information for the top of the cast list. Some people like to have additional information such as producer, executive producer, director, casting director placed at the top of the cast list in addition to header information. If this is something you'd like to do, then go ahead and enter this information here. If it's not, then you can just go ahead and leave this field blank. The Unions tab allows you to enter information for both SAG-AFTRA and DGA. This information is used in the contracts that Poco can publish. Once you know the type of union contracts you'll be signing, you'll be able to fill in these fields here. You'll be filling in the project type, agreement type, production numbers and project IDs, and various location information. The Email Setup tab is a new feature in Poco 5. This allows you to use either a local email client such as Entourage, Outlook, or Apple Mail, or an external SMTP server such as Gmail. If you're just going to use your local email client to send emails, you can just keep this setting right here set as local client and ignore the rest of these settings. If, however, you'd like to use an SMTP client such as Gmail or your own email server, select SMTP from the email type and then enter in the rest of this information for your particular email server. You would enter your name, email address, reply to address, the outgoing SMTP server, which in this case is smtp.gmail.com, the port number, which in this case is 465, and then your username, which in Gmail is going to be your email address, and then you'll type in your password. The password is actually hidden once it's entered. This is to prevent people from looking over your shoulder and seeing your password. The next tab is the Email Messages tab. Poco allows you to create 10 different canned email messages for common documents you're going to be distributing. And when you get Poco, you'll see that Poco has already filled in a number of these fields for you and attached some generic text. To use this, you'll select from the pull-down the document for which you'd like to pre-write an email. I'm going to go ahead and keep this as call sheet for the moment. And then below, you'll pre-write an email that'll be used anytime you distribute this document. The text of the emails is changeable in the email form, so this won't be your last opportunity to make changes. It's just a handy way to save some time when you're trying to get emails out. The last subtab is the Advanced subtab. This contains more advanced settings for Poco. You may never need to go to this tab, but it's important to understand all the different settings if you do. Over here on the left, you can change any of the phone labels for any of the phone fields that appear in Poco. These are the standard labels, but you can edit any one of them and make any changes you like. Next to each label is the abbreviation. This is used in the crew list, cast list, any list that's published that has phone numbers on it. When you enter a phone number into Poco, you don't need to enter any abbreviation next to that number. Poco will do it for you and use these abbreviations for each different type of phone number. Whenever Poco publishes a crew list, for instance, it will put an O next to the office numbers and M next to the mobile numbers. And of course, these fields are also editable, so you can make them anything you'd like. The user-defined labels are located in the People tab. And let me show you where those are right now so you understand which fields I'm talking about. These fields right here are miscellaneous text fields which we've included. They don't have any predetermined use right now, but they're there in case you need extra fields in order to track people on your show. In order to change the labels on these, you can either click on the label right there or go back to the Setup Advanced tab and make the changes right here. The Vendor Value List Relationships field takes a little bit of explaining, but it's important that you understand this in case you ever want to make changes to the value list in the Vendors tab when it comes to the hotels, car rentals, and ground transportation. The Hotels and Car Rentals tab rely on information from the Vendors tab in order to fill in their information properly. The Hotels tab looks for any vendors called hotels, and the Cars tab looks for any vendors called car rentals, and then creates its lists of cars and hotels based on those values. The Flights tab looks in the Vendors tab for anything called Town Car Service in order to set its ground transportation pull-down list. In the Vendors tab, you have the ability to edit this list of pull-downs that set the categories. All you need to do is select Edit from the bottom of the list, and you'll be able to edit the values on that list. Where the value list relationships come in is if you're going to make changes to, for instance, hotels and change it to, let's say, accommodations instead, the Hotels tab would then need to know what to look for in the Vendors tab in order to get its lists of hotels. And that's where this comes in. If you change the names of the hotels, car rentals, or ground transportation names in the value list for vendors, just be sure to come over here to the Setup Advanced tab and make your same changes over here. That will allow hotels, cars, and the ground transportation in flights to know what information to pull from the vendors list. There are two miscellaneous items down here. One is the Create Backup on Every Shutdown. If you'd like to do that, then check this box right here. And the Flights at a Glance number of days, which allows you to set the number of days in advance the Flights at a Glance document is going to look in order to create its list. The default number is 7. You can change it to anything you'd like. The distribution items section here in the middle refers to the distribution items that are in the People tab, this list right here. In order to edit this list, you can either click on this button right here or just go back to the Setup Advanced tab. This list is fully editable. You can make any changes you like and add up to 24 different items that you'll be distributing on your show. For more information on the distribution items, check out our video that's dedicated to that topic. And the last section over here is the Button Layout Connection section. This allows you to change the destinations for the little blue buttons that appear at the bottom of the People, Vendors, Flights, Hotels, Cars, and Shoot Day tabs. If, for instance, you wanted the crew list default not to go just to the regular crew list, but to go to the crew list with addresses instead, you can make that change here. You'll find, though, that it's important that you select a destination that is related to the button type. For instance, you wouldn't want to set the crew list button to point to the birthday list. This would create a conflicting set of fine sorts between the crew list and the birthday list, and might give you lists that have the wrong information in them. And that about covers it for the Setup tab in Poco 5. Be sure to hit us up on both our Facebook and our Twitter feeds. We would love to hear what you think of the product. Thanks again, and we really hope that you enjoy using Poco 5.